Hi, this is Miss Andrea, and I'm here at EcoStation. I am one of the science educators here at Children's Museum Houston, and I'm going to be talking to you today about hydrogen fuel cells. So, hydrogen fuel cells, you say, what is that? If you don't know, a lot of people don't know, so don't worry. Hydrogen fuel cells are very similar to batteries, and one of the reasons I'm talking to you about it today is because hydrogen is very versatile and it's a renewable energy. And if you don't know a lot about hydrogen, I'm not really surprised. There's not a whole lot of people that know very much about it as fuel source. So, as I said, hydrogen fuel cells work very similar to a battery, but unlike a battery, they don't run out of energy and they are, you don't have to recharge them. So, I think I'll start with a battery because it's something that you're familiar with, and then you can kind of see how similar that they are. With a battery, you have a positive and a negative. Most people know this, and you have to hook it up and complete a circuit in order for the electricity to run, right? So you have a positive, which is known as the cathode, and a negative, which is the anode. And then you have something in between them, which is an electrolyte, and that keeps the anode and the cathode, the material separate. And we want them separate because we want to be able to hook up a wire and say we have like a light bulb in there and complete a circuit so that the electrons can run through the wire. Because all these electrons, I'm going to make it real simple. Here is our negative, here's our positive, and here's our electrolyte that keeps the electrons from going up there. So when the chemicals react, we have all these little guys down here, more of them, electrons, than there are over here. And they want to meet up with the rest of their counterparts up here. So in order for them to do that, they cannot go through the electrolyte. Only positive can go through the electrolyte. So we have positive and we have negative in here, and positive and negative. And up here we have positive, right? Protons. The electrons want to meet up with the protons. And so we hook up a wire, whoop, and the electrons run through that wire and come to the other side. When that happens, when you have electrons running through a wire, that is electricity. So this is, everybody knows how a battery works, right? Well, hydrogen fuel cell is not too different from that. A hydrogen fuel cell also has a positive and a negative. So it has a cathode and an anode. And it also has an electrolyte here in the middle that keeps them separate. So the thing with the hydrogen fuel cell that it never runs out is because hydrogen can continuously be fed into it, and it's the process of hydrogen and oxygen coming together to make water that actually creates the electricity. So how does that happen? It happens very similar to a battery. Hydrogen is fed into one side, air is fed into the other side, which is oxygen, and a hydrogen is made up of one proton, which is positive, and one electron, which is negative. Now the electrolyte allows the positive to go through. So you're having positives on this side as well as the air, the oxygen. When the hydrogen negative electron goes through the wire, it also will turn on the light bulb or create any kind of electricity output that we want. And they're running through, so they're creating electricity, they're coming to the other side, they're hooking up with the oxygen and with the hydrogen proton, and they're creating water. So what is emitted is water, just H2O. So there's no emissions of anything bad here. Hydrogen goes in, the electron gets separated, the proton goes through the electrolyte, they all meet on the other side and they make water. So you have electricity, a little bit of heat, and water. And not only that, but there's no moving parts inside of this hydrogen fuel cell, so it's very quiet. It's not going to get worn down. It's not going to, well, it won't get worn down as easily as a battery. It also does not need to be recharged, and everybody knows that when you recharge a battery, every time that you recharge it, it becomes less and less viable. So you don't have that happening with hydrogen. It is a really, really good fuel for us for the future. The problem is in separating hydrogen from the other elements, because hydrogen doesn't exist by itself. It's so light that it will escape our atmosphere if it's by itself. So it's always attached to something else, like water, right? H2O, hydrogen and oxygen. It has to be separated out. In order to do that, you have to use electricity or another method that uses a lot of energy to separate the hydrogen and the oxygen. This is where the problem is because it's very expensive to do. So we have really smart people that are trying to figure out how to separate the hydrogen and oxygen in a way that will be good for the environment, because right now most of the hydrogen is being separated by using fossil fuels, which emit harmful chemicals. If you can do it with solar or wind, that's great, but it's really, really expensive. So maybe one of you watching this video can help us to figure out how we can separate hydrogen and oxygen in a way that is green and that we'll be able to use hydrogen as a fuel source, since it's renewable. I mean, we have lots of water on this planet. Hydrogen is the most abundant in the universe. To me, it just seems like this is one of our best alternatives. So I would like to see one of you guys try to problem solve this and figure it out. We're counting on you. This is Miss Andrea at Children's Museum Houston, signing out.